your reporting with Alec Lewis on what happened in the firing of Kwesi Adofo-Mensah is outstanding. Everybody go to The Athletic and read what happened, what transpired. You won't get that coverage anywhere else. Dianna, you were all over this for a period of time. When it finally happened, though, did you have a moment where you said this just isn't going to happen? It's taken too long? Take me through the process.
It's a good question because I definitely... So Alec Lewis, who covers the Vikings for us, he and I talk every day. And we wrote the story of Kwesi essentially being fired early January. Because we really felt good based on our conversations with people that he was going to get fired. And then things changed and ownership met and I was told that's not happening. So because this coaching cycle got so busy, I kind of forgot about it, actually, to be really transparent with you. And I just went back to, covering the stuff that I've been covering with you guys. And I got a text from Alec the morning of it and was like, you're never going to believe this, but I think the Kwesi firing may really happen now. I'm like, what? It's the end of January. It's almost February. So we did some digging on it and we found out that ownership then made a decision after 3 weeks. So they met initially right at the end of the season. They had conversations with people in the building. They had really healthy conversation, from what I understand, about is he the right fit for what they need moving forward? Is he the guy? Is he going to be the best drafter? Is he going to be the best roster builder? And I feel like I should really emphasize this. And I know football fans may not care about this, but I do think it's important to add Kwesi is really well liked in Minnesota in the building, right? Players, coaches, that he is one of those NFL figures where it's very hard to find an enemy, or he doesn't really have many because he is a really good guy. But when it came to, I think, some of the management of this Vikings team, I think that's where some of the question marks were, which is why this team decided to move forward.
What changed though? Like, because he was getting fired, then he wasn't, and there's a lull, and he was at Senior Bowl practices on a Tuesday. He gets fired on a Wednesday or Wednesday. Yep. So why all this? I mean, this is very, very weird timing. Was there something that happened in between that to be like, okay, that's the last straw, or like, what's the deal there?
So I asked some people that are close to the situation about that, because doesn't your flag go up of like, wait, did something happen?
1,000%.
You think an HR issue, you just think of everything because why now? And there are theories. Nobody has exactly what happened. And probably the best and most common theory I received was Sam Darnold playing in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And ownership.
Greener grass. Wow.
Watched a player that this team decided to move on from in favor of JJ McCarthy. And I think that there were some, the way it was explained to me, I think there was a little frustration there.
So, but wasn't that Kevin O'Connell's decision? Because KOC runs, it's his quarterback. Wasn't that some of his as well?
Chase, we could do a whole show about the dynamics of power there, because you're right.
Yeah.
They trust in Kevin O'Connell's coaching of the quarterback position. So you would assume they're not going to move forward on any quarterback without Kevin's blessing. I don't necessarily believe that. In fact, I know Kevin does not have the final say on roster. He does not. That is not in his contract. So do I think this is 100% on Kwesi? No.
Yeah,
but I do think some of the decisions, from moving on from Sam, from losing out on Daniel Jones when they thought they had him, they thought they were bringing him back, and then he decided to go to Indianapolis to be the starter with the Colts because he felt he could really win the job, which of course he did pretty early on. I think it's kind of a sum of all of this, and ownership decided they want to stick with Kevin O'Connell and give him a different general manager moving forward.
Unbelievable. And it is true, the perception, we do have to remember, we're seeing Sam Darnold play great, 14 wins again, second consecutive year, right, Dianna? But the perception of Sam Darnold did dramatically change at the very end of the season. Like, it was like, he's got to come back, he's their guy. And then the wild card game happened.
Remember those locker room videos? You weren't with us yet, but Chase and I...
it was insane.
Played it on the show because we were so inspired, impressed. kind of like intrigued by Sam Darnold's leadership because we had never seen him like that. The guys were like,
unbelievable.
So you're right. And there was a little bit of, can Sam not handle the big moment? And guys, out here in San Francisco, that's a question people are asking too. Can he handle this big moment? He proved in the NFC Championship game he can. But can he do it now on the biggest of stages? So I do want to hit one thing, because part of the reporting that Alec and I did was how outside of the box Kwesi was as a hire.
Yes.
You know, he wasn't a traditional type of general manager. And I do credit the Vikings for going in almost like a different style to see if that could work with Kevin O'Connell, who I do believe is a really good adapter of people. And it was a good marriage. And they, by the way, they have a good relationship.
Okay.
But one of the things Alec and I shed some light on in our article was that, you know, something that made Kwesi a little different was after the birth of his first son, he decided to take 2 weeks off during training camp for paternity leave. The Vikings were supportive of that. I was there at the training camp with the Tennessee Titans in Minnesota when he was not there. And there is definitely some chatter on the field about it because it's just so unheard of for guys taking paternity, taking time away. But the Vikings were cool about it. Like they were like, look, he's still meeting with us remotely. It just was different. Like, I don't want to say the Minnesota Vikings were excited about it, but they understood it. It just, I think when someone does that for the first time, it just takes a little bit of time for people to adjust.
Interesting. What I think about with that, Dianna, so because that part jumped out to Chase, it jumped out to myself. I think almost everybody that read it was looking at that aspect going, you know, Joe Brady, and you mentioned that in the article, just said, I missed the birth of my child. But to me, this is a next man up league. That's what it's built off of. If somebody's not there, next guy steps up, we don't miss a beat. I don't feel like your organization's very good if the general manager can't work remotely for 2 weeks. Like, I just think if that's a problem, it seems like it wasn't with the Vikings. Dianna, was it a problem in terms of his perception moving forward with others?
Look, I was
giving my 2 cents, by the way, on that too. I think it's wild.
Here's something that I think a lot of people don't understand, James. No, and I appreciate your opinion on it. And I think with the three of us, we're all parents. You two are dads. Like I appreciate and respect it, but we also know what this league is like. And you just said that and mentioned it. But I think something that I never shared with you guys on the show was this has been talked about for 2 years around the league. People are gossipy and they've been whispering about it. They've been making fun of it. And again, I have no opinion of it. I'm just reporting what's been going on for 2 years about this paternity leave. And this is the first time it's been put in print for fans to see. And you see the reaction from the fans versus the league. Fans think it's crazy that no one accepts that. But in the NFL, this was.
That's what I'm saying. From a former player's perspective, and a 14-year guy who has 3 kids. This league takes so much from you, and you can't focus. And I've been in there before, and I've done this. You are so focused on the task at hand. I've never heard of anyone taking paternity leave. That is his right. That is it is. But I'm telling you right now, when you sign up for the NFL, you sign up for one of 32 jobs in the world where take a day, your son or daughter's born, get back to work. And fans will not like that. I get that. There's so many sacrifices that you have to make. And I'm not saying if he missed 2 weeks, he can't do his job, but it's not normal.
He didn't stop working for 2 weeks, by the way.
Yeah. I get that. But James, you know, and you've covered, and I've played. It's never, and I think the reason why there's so much blowback on it, Dianna, and it's just never happened before. And I think around the league, it's never happened before.
I think it's that, Chase, and that he's not an NFL lifer. If there was paternity leave done by an NFL lifer, say a Kubiak, who is a lineage of whatever, or a Shanahan, there's a little different perception of taking the paternity leave. But since he is a Wall Street individual, who, by the way, let's not knock that Wall Street people don't work. They work very hard as well in finance and other things. But since he has that background, you can't deny that it probably plays a part in the perception of the paternity leave. But Dianna, you know somebody very, very well that has thought outside of the box for the entire time they were a head coach, and that's Bruce Arians, who insisted if you miss one of your child's basketball games, dance recitals, he'll fire you if you don't put the family first. So it's not like this is the first time we've seen somebody in that type of spot.
I think the 2 weeks that's what's weird to me. Mm-hmm. And I get it. I'm not trying. I'm just saying in the NFL. And Sean Payton was complete opposite. You're working till 2 a.m. You're doing this.
Oh, forever.
Andy Reid was like, bro, you need a day? Yeah, take 2. Get back though. Get back to work. We need your. And I think it's just hard to put into words because it's two completely different people that are looking at it.
Yeah. And I'm with you. And this is what I've heard from coaches and GMs about this. Especially at a joint practice, because I've seen some of the pushback has been, it's just training camp. Joint practices, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to observe. There's a lot to watch. There's a lot of relationship things between teams happening too. But what happens, just like anytime anyone takes a leave, whether it's maternity or paternity or sickness or just, time away, someone else has to pick up the slack and someone else has to do that job and that role. And to be in season, having to depend on people who are already working crazy hours themselves, I think that's where the rub was of just you're in a leadership position and the leader needs to be there to set that tone. That's how it sounded. And look, there have been some wild reactions to this. And when I say wild, things that I would say that I could share with you guys of like, when I say people were in disbelief, like that's putting it kindly. There are lifers who just could not even comprehend this. And we've seen it and we understand it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Listen, and I'll say this too. Dianna, we've done it. I left my mother-in-law's funeral to fly to Dallas because Tony Romo broke his collarbone. So that's how insane we all are around the NFL.
Thanks for watching Scoop City. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment. New episodes of Scoop City drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.